Anytime that I play in Blitz, this Cavdane deck that I have calls out to me like the Green Goblin mask. Today we're going to open the Azalea Blitz deck. It's not glamorous, it's not too exciting, but what we're looking for is some common rares and staples that are just going to make such a huge difference. We're looking for commons and rares that are just going to be staples for us going forward, and a guaranteed pull is going to make that big difference because there's quite a few things in here that are actually going to be quite useful. We'll go through it real quickly because much of this is not going to affect us too much. The Falcon Wings are going to be useful if we decide to go for a more go wide strategy later in the day. The Murkmire Grapples, we've talked a lot about how much we need this, so this one's going to be really quite important. Salvage Shot is definitely useful, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily the best one. Its effect is just recovery, and I think that we would prefer just straight more aggression at the moment, but it's definitely something worth holding on to. We've got two red Widowmakers. I think what we said about wanting the blues more than the reds still stands true. Two red Withering Shot. This really is kind of one of the most important reasons that we decided to open this. We could have kept going into Outsiders just over and over and over again, but I think it gets a bit boring to watch, and we'd rather just guarantee red Withering Shots now so that we don't have to feel like we're playing at such a disadvantage against decks that are going to really be affected by frailties. Seek Horizon. Fletcher Redtail could be quite useful. It is a cost 1 buff, so for that reason alone we might not run it, but it could be very useful in certain matchups where we want to have their red cards blocking for 1 less, really more of defensive control-y setups. Scout the Periphery, Station Shot, Spire Sniping. A lot of this is not going to be super helpful for us. Toxicity, we probably still won't be playing. That lose 3 life is a lot for a blue, but you really would rather just buff it and make sure that things actually hit. So the upgrades this week, this is stuff that we really could have just like spent so long just digging for and missing constantly. I think we're better off just taking it now while we can, you know? It's just going to help us so much more in the long run. But you might be thinking, hold on, how is a Blitz deck going to be $40? And it's not, it was only $20. So what's happening with the other $20? We're going to be banking that. We're going to hold on to it for next week so that we can use it to buy a more expensive product that's really also going to help us guarantee hit what we need, and it's going to improve the deck a lot more than I think just random digging is going to help us. So look forward to that next week, and then I think it really will take the deck up another level. This week's Skirmish, so we've changed the deck so that we can play in Blitz. I've not played in Blitz for a long time. It's just a format that's not hugely popular here. So I'm a bit out of touch on what exactly the Blitz meta is. I know that Rhinar was banned, Victor was banned, apparently he was real bad. So apparently now the meta's a bit more balanced. I think Azalea historically has been quite good. We have this cold foil, so we're going to be playing that today, because I've never had a chance to use it before. But I think historically Azalea has been quite good in Blitz, so hopefully if we just like fire off 2 big domination arrows in a row, that's enough to get us there. So for our equipment, we're going to be running the regular Death Dealer, Crow's Nest, Target Totalizer, Sharpshooters, Hidden Agenda, and Flight Path. That stuff's all normal. For our arrows, in our main board, we've got 2 Red and Ledger, 1 Barbed Undertow, 4 Spire Sniping, 2 Withering Shot, this is from the Blitz deck that we got, 2 Sedation Shot, and 4 Infecting Shot. These are the 1 costs, 2 Stone Rain, 2 Drill Shot, and 2 Bolton Shot. These are our 0 costs. One thing I'm particularly interested in trying out is this Barbed Undertow. I played a game against a Dromite, and normally I think that would be really bad, but we managed to use Knock the Death Whistle to go into Barbed Undertow dominated turn 0. Of course we just call red. They can't pitch anything, generate no ash. It physically was they could not do anything. We just kept dominating arrows, so if we go against a Dromite, who's apparently very good in this format, that's our whole plan really. For our non-attacks, we've got the pretty standard set of laces, 2 frailty, 2 inertia, 2 blood rot. We've got 2 point the tips, 2 yellow read the glide path, and 2 red. This is all kind of just taking the constructed deck and cutting it down. 2 knock the death whistle, codex of frailty, and premeditate. In our sideboard, we've got our razor reflex, 2 sleep dart, 2 Murkmire grapple, 2 blood rot trap, and a command and conquer and amnesia. Now the amnesia is going to be really good if we go against a Vin set. I think that's going to be really helpful, but everything else is just for specific situations, specific heroes that we might run into. So the main thing I'm going to be worried about really, I think, is going to be arcane damage. We still only have access to 1 piece of arcane barrier, so it's going to be a little bit tricky, but I think that if we are okay to just shoot big number, decks like Verdance that might be more about setting up and just chipping away at you progressively, we might just race them to the finish and try and get there first. Decks like Blaze, we just hope to see a combo before they do, but we'll have to see how that one goes. Anyway, that's the deck. Skirmish starts in about an hour. I have to go down and set up filming. Our first game of Skirmish is against Aurora. I think the general strategy for us in Blitz is to find the arrow that disrupts the other person's game plan the most, then just rail them with attacks until we get there, or whatever arrow we can really find easily. I know that's kind of our game plan in CC already, but in CC we can take the occasional off turn. There's no time for that in Blitz. We are going second and in turn 0 block with a blue infecting shot. During backup we don't have any arrows, but what we do have is our Codex of Frailty, which after playing out the rainbow of laces, we can put the blocks with infecting shot into arsenal. We have 1 arcane barrier, which is useful against a rune blade, but we'll actually break it straight away. Because Codex puts the arrow face down, we can use hidden agendas to flip it face up, gaining a pitch, and then using that to shoot the arrow. Although it is just a blue, it is coming in for 12 with every outsider's token attached. Aurora has 2 instants in hand, so doesn't have that much of a choice if they take it or not. So we give them 2 poxes, 2 frailties, and an inertia, which is like the most we've ever done off an arrow. They will come back with a burn-up shock into 7 damage attack, which we decide to actually take, which drops us to 4 life. So they follow up with a snatch, which is from Arsenal, so it's only for 2. So we can block with our equipment. Even though the draw would be inertiaed away, they could use it to pitch to Aurora, so we can't risk giving her the free draw anyway. The reason we chose to take so much damage is because now they're only on 11, and 1 really good arrow could possibly get us there. We break target totalizer, so now any arrows with aim counters will give us a draw on hit, and we Azalea into another blue infecting shot. We will give it an aim counter from Crow's Nest and shoot for 9 dominate. We can also break our legs as an attack reaction to give it go again from the aim counter. We still have a drill shot in hand, and we draw point the tip from target totalizer, which is such an incredible draw for us because it buffs and can give our drill shot piercing. We fire it for 7 and take them down to 3 with only 2 cards and 2 Bloodrot Poxes. If I could get that kind of target totalizer value every game, literally who would need a Skullbone Crosswrap? Aurora will activate Crowned Dichotomy to set themselves up for their next turn, so they have 1 life and it's on us to close it out, but we choose to draw an all arrow hand instead. We Azalea away our arsenal in hopes of seeing something, but we hit a Bolton shot, which we can shoot for 4 dominate, but I was personally hoping for some buffs. The Bolton shot has no effects because we don't have any buffs to play it, but with Aurora on 1 and only 3 blocks in hand, it does actually get us there and we take our first win of Skirmish. Our second game is against Blaze, which is a young exclusive hero for people that are still sore about Kano LLing a year ago. This is our first ever wizard matchup, and because we haven't found our arcane barrier yet, we need the most insane 2 hands possible back to back and hope we find it before Blaze finds any combos. Honestly, there's very little to say about this game. Because Blaze can play at instant speed, it gives her the option to assess each hand and choose to block with it, or just play it out before any ranger on hits can resolve. Our first arrow can come in for 9 dominate, but they can respond with 4 of their own damage. Waning Moon is really strong in this format. Because we aren't able to prevent more than 1 arcane damage, we are forced to take a red Aether Spindle, giving Blaze all the opt counters she needs to play cards at instant speed. We are able to shoot a Sedation shot for 14, which is really good, but our inability to respond to their incoming damage at instant speed means they're playing a turn and a half ahead of us at any point, as well as sitting on Storm Striders to just threaten a surprise kill. So despite paying for Arcane Barrier wherever we can, playing an instant speed Emeritus Scolding and Waning Moon is unpreventable from us, and we are forced out of this game. Arcane Barrier is on the wish list, but at least we don't need to deal with Blazing CC. Yes, they're making Volder into an adult hero, so I kinda think it's just a matter of time until Blaze comes into the constructed format in one form or another. Hopefully that is well after the series is finished. And finally, we come to Dromai. Because my timing is terrible, I did not get the extra week I was hoping for to snag an extra Barbed Undertow, so we'll have to make do with just the one. We're going to try to fire the Barbed Undertow and lock them out of pitching and hope to just wail on them before they can get a board state going, because there is not a world that we can deal with 5 or more dragons. We load and shoot a red in the ledger for 11, but because it's not dominated, Dromai can full hand block it freely. I think it would have been smarter to make it smaller and keep a buff in Arsenal, but I think I was hoping that target totalizer would let us draw, or they were attached to something in their hand. Looking back, I can see that's not optimal, but that's a good thing about reviewing, that we can look back on those previous mistakes and know how to avoid them going forward. Because Dromai is going second and we couldn't dominate an arrow, they can pitch to gold, making their ash and using it to play Rake the Embers, making 3 Ashwings. Ashwings are what really kill you in Dromai, and we're not wasting arrows on them, so they're here to stay as far as we're concerned. Our turn will load a Spire Sniping, but annoyingly the only arrow we can see is another Spire Sniping. Because it's better than nothing, we will Azalea into it, but it is prevented with an Oasis Respite. They will put out Kyloria, which is also really not good. A Miragai or an Azalea we could just ignore, but Kyloria we might have to respect just because it can generate advantage, but only as long as we have equipment to block with, so we can put an arrow and an arm piece or arrow and leg in front of it. Otherwise, I personally think it's just not worth the amount of cards that we're going to be giving up to stop it. We can load and we shoot a Sleep Dart for 8, which is still not dominated, just because our deck won't line up for us in a way that really helps us. Sleep Dart will stop dragons from gaining go again, so this will be a really impactful hit, but they will block it with an equipment and a second Oasis Respite. But because of one of our shitty attack reactions, I get one of my favourite interactions of the whole day.
Razor Reflex. What? Okay.
I fucking love that card.
Yeah.
I played in Dorinthia. It makes no sense to.
Yeah, it's really not bad.
Yeah.
Because of our janky Razor, it will hit, and we get not the most, but close to one of the best arrows we have here to hit. Unfortunately, Hunted gives Dromai a few new tricks, and they can attack with Kyloria, which we don't totally block because we're stupid. We make a silly mistake, and they break their new legs, the Dragon Scalar Flight Path, which gives them go again and allows them attack with Kyloria again, generating a second draw. At this point, we're down 4 to 17 and facing a huge board state. Basically, all I can think of to do to get us out of here is a dominated Sleep Dart or a red in the ledger for 1,000,000. We can knock, searching for red, which will hit, saving us a turn, but the situation is desperate. On our turn, we will blind Azalea, basically crossing our fingers and praying for something, and we hit a point the tip, which locks us out of Arsenal, stopping us from firing an arrow, and we just concede the game just to save us the embarrassment.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, my cards will cost an extra card, your cards will have reprisals. The Warrior Curse.
Right. 3 over currently.
Currently 3 over.
Focus is very
I'm just gonna...
finagly. I should have thought about this before I started.
Sorry.
50, yay!
That's value.
I mean, it is. But it's also a terrible play, so I'm going to pass.
Yeah, cool. I'll pitch into greens.
We're just trading 3 damage into...
Scalers!
That's a good one.
Scalers is good.
Yeah, this is good.
Yep.
Arena's Prayer, you can use that against the Warriors.
Okay.
Sorry, not Warriors.
Against the Warriors.
Go Scalers.
That's huge.
Cool.
That is just the best boots for Azalea.
Just trading 3 damage back and forth.
Yellow headshot's not great.
Alright.
One day you'll block.
Rhino!
Rhino! That's a purifier.
Pretty much, yeah.
Ticklo pounder at some point.
Yeah.
Come on, Skullbone.
Banner Rattle, Courage. No.
Yellow.
Yeah, Courage.
Not very good.
What's your anyway?
It's, I mean, it's the worst null rune you could get.
Well, before he has cross rapids,
It's Totalizer,
fine.
yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
not
true.
terrible.
Yeah, that's true.
So I like Blitz, and I quite like Azalea in Blitz, but to me it feels like a treat. It's like ice cream. It's good once in a while, but I couldn't have it every day or every time I went to Armoury. Looking at our matchup spread, I think we had 1 good matchup and 2 really bad ones. That's not me trying to write off the losses as, oh, whatever, we matched into our bad matches, we couldn't have won anyway, because I really hate when people do that. And I definitely think that there were some things that we could have done to do a bit better. But considering that this is a format that the only hero I've played in it since Kasai LL'd is Cavdane, I don't think we did too bad. Skirmish is a fun holiday, but it's time to break out of our 1-2 CC curse. I've got plans for next week, I've got even bigger plans going forward. Thank you for watching. Blaze plays at instant speed. I don't like that. Blaze plays. Blaze plays.